What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Macho Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
I am Brandon, and alongside me always is Andrew, and today we've got a cool versus for you. It's Beverly Hills Cop versus Beverly Hills Cop 2. All right, guys, welcome back. Like I said, today we are doing a versus of Beverly Hills Cop versus Beverly Hills Cop 2. Little Eddie Murphy action here. We haven't done any Eddie Murphy movies on this channel, have we?
No, I don't.
This is like the first time talking about Eddie Murphy.
We vaguely mentioned these in the past, and that's it, I think.
Yeah, maybe so. Like maybe Vampire in Brooklyn or something.
Yeah, I think it's got a little bit of love on this channel in passing, but
yeah. But anyway, so this I had a blast with this because it's been a long time since I've seen either one of these movies. So I got to go back and rewatch them, and I forgot half the shit. Man, I forgot how good they are. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. They are good movies, man. And they're so fun. They're just some of the dialogue and some of the shit that Eddie Murphy says is some of the funniest stuff.
Yeah.
Even when it's not supposed to be. That scene, I think it was in the second one with the gum. Just little shit like that. Yeah. Where he's like, he's showing him how to bypass the security where the alarm won't go off, and he's like, believe it or not, before I was a cop, I done some shit. I broke a few laws or whatever, and he's like, hey, and Judge Reinhold's like, you got any more of that gum? He's like, it's my last piece. And he's like, we'll split it. And he just didn't say anything. He just splits it, and he goes, whatever. It just kind of cutesy. And then he looks at Taggart, and he's like, none for you. And then just walks in. Just little shit like that.
Yeah, just some funny stuff. Eddie Murphy was in his prime here.
Oh, for sure.
Early 80s to what would you say, early 90s probably, and then he started having some bombs.
Yeah. He got into the early 90s, and that was about it. And he had a few stragglers, and I think he did some more family movies as he got older, and then he just disappeared. And now he's back. Axel Foley's coming out in July. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's coming out probably like a week after we drop this. So we thought it'd be a good time to get a little Beverly Hills Cop action in for you guys. And Axel Foley looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so too. We got a big July coming up too, because we're gonna have Twisters, and when is the new Aliens? Is that August or is that later in the movie?
I think it's August.
Later in the year. August.
I forgot about that one. Yeah,
we've got all kinds of shit in the next 2 or 3 months. Anyway, let's get into it. Before we go over a story and get into the categories, just real quick rundown like I always do. Beverly Hills Cop #1 was released 1984. That's 2 years after 48 Hours, so he was already kind of doing stuff. It was directed by Martin Brest. Martin Brest didn't really have, what did I say he had? Not much of anything really in his career. Midnight Run, Sin of a Woman was like one of his other bigger movies, I think. With
that Midnight Run for sure were the cream of the crop. To quote somebody,
yeah, he's a breath of fresh air. The other one, Beverly Hills Cop 2, was directed by Tony Scott. You said he was Ridley Scott's brother.
Yeah.
And he has got, it's a shame he committed suicide, unfortunately, in his later years. But man, he has some movies. He had some stuff with Denzel. Did Beverly Hills Cop 2, Top Gun, Days of Thunder, The Last Boy Scout. He had a giant list of good movies that he directed. Beverly Hills Cop 1, I have a $13 million budget for that one, and it made $234 million at the box office. Ooh. Beverly Hills Cop 2, $27 million as a budget, and $299.9, $300 million at the box office. So
that had been close to #1 of 1987, I would think. $300 million.
I would think so, for sure. That's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. Anyway, we've got our categories pretty much normal. We took the setting out this time, the setting category out this time, because they're the same setting. It's
both
LA.
Detroit, both LA.
Yeah, they both start out in Detroit, and he goes to LA. A lot of good locations in LA, obviously, but we're deciding not to try and pick apart that today. So instead, we're going to go with music, because that's also one thing that I think these two movies are known for, is not just the soundtrack, but the score.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And of course, we still have acting. We're doing action comedy instead of just action today. and then best villains. Let's go ahead and start with story. Do you want to go ahead and do like a brief rundown of both real quick?
So in the original Beverly Hills Cop, you're introduced to Axel Foley, and he's reintroduced to a friend, Mikey Tandino, in the beginning, who's stolen these Deutschmarks, I believe they were, from this place he was working at. And all of a sudden, he gets killed. Eddie Murphy gets knocked in the head. He goes to Beverly Hills to kind of see what was behind this and who was behind it, and uncovers this whole drug smuggling thing. With Victor Maitland and his guys. Gets in with the Beverly Hills Police Department. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that's basically the plot of 1. Beverly Hills Cop Part 2. You have Bogomil, Andy Bogomil, the chief of police. Is he the chief of police? I believe
he's the lieutenant or something like that. Yeah.
And he's stumbled onto something, the alphabet crimes. And it's this group that's coming in, and they leave this letter at every single one of their heists that they have. And he's kind of stumbled onto something. He gets shot in the beginning. And so Axel comes out to Beverly Hills to kind of, get in on it, see what's going on. And, they're all friends after the first movie. So turns out, this huge heist. It's not a drug thing like the first one, but some pretty high stakes there. And that's basically the plots of both of these.
Yeah, they're just gun smugglers, kind of more or less, with a lot more people, a lot more firepower. Ronnie Cox, that plays the lieutenant, it's weird seeing him as a good guy.
Yeah.
Not like a bastard in RoboCop or something.
We're used to Dick Jones and Vilas Cohagen, and this was actually what he was known for before he got typecast in those roles. Just a good old boy.
Just a good old boy. Yeah. That's funny. So I guess, do we want to go ahead and start with our picks?
Yeah.
I'll let you take story first.
Okay. So
talk it out.
There's similar in a way, but different. I kind of prefer the story of 2. Just a little bit more, his friend got killed in the first one, but he's made these really good friends out west. And, Bogomil's on life support, and he goes out there to try to find justice for him. I really like that, the whole alphabet thing.
I do too.
In that, how they leave those notes. So we'll get more into that in villains, with Brigitte Nielsen and Jürgen Persnau. But I really like, how they're integrated into the story. And so, I think 2, I like 1, but I think I like 2 just a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you on that one. I like 2 a little bit better. I do like the trying to find your friend's killer. It's a little more personal in the first one. I do like him kind of getting to know the Beverly Hills Cops, Taggart, and was it Billy?
Rosewood.
Roseweed. Rosewood, which is Judge Reinhold's character.
Right.
And I really liked him basically kind of getting the upper hand on them. And I think it's funny, too, when they got taken off of the tail and then put a new set on, and he screws them guys over, too.
Yeah.
And it's great. That was a whole big thing back and forth that I really, really enjoyed, that really set up a lot of good comedy. But I'm like you. I think there's just a little bit more players in 2. I like it seemed like a bigger scope deal. They'd already established friendship, and this personal connection. So when the lieutenant got shot, he basically lied to his chief back in Detroit and said, "Hey, I'm going real deep undercover. So you ain't gonna know you ain't even know where I'm at." And gives an excuse to go out to LA to find out who shot the lieutenant. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
There are some other things in the story I like too, just a little bit better. And the second one, the whole deal with Paul Reiser's character, Jeffrey, where he's got the Ferrari and he wants to make it look like he's there. And so, he's got him calling in. And I thought that whole subplot was really funny.
That was too. They gave Paul Reiser a little more something to do in that movie.
And
by the end of it, he ends up
more Paul Reiser.
Yeah. He ends up wrecking it at the end. I thought was pretty good. All booted up in a cast and shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 2 as well. So for music, that takes the place of setting, like I'd mentioned before. What do you think on music? Because there's a lot of similarities in music here, but you've got basically, there's a couple pieces of the score that are different.
Yeah.
that they've added in 2 that we both mentioned that we're going to talk about here in just a second. And then you've got 2 kind of different themes for each movie. You've got, what was the second one? You've got Glenn Fry's
The Heat Is On is in the
Heat
first.
Is On is the first one.
And
then
Shakedown.
Shakedown was in the second one.
Uh,
So, I
and
mean,
that-
it's kind of the
That's
battle
Bob
of,
Seger's only #1 hit.
yeah, which is crazy.
Right.
That is crazy. It's Bob Seger.
Right. All those songs, and that was his #1 because of a movie.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It is a good song, but I enjoy Glenn Fry's better.
Just a little bit, yeah.
I like The Heat Is On a little bit more.
You've got that whole strip club scene where he takes the boys in, that precedes the whole super cop, that we'll get into later, where they go to the strip club and they're playing. That was actually Nasty Girl by Vanity, which you get into Eddie Murphy, and Vanity was Prince's Squeeze.
Yeah, you get into the connection of you get the connection of him and Prince.
Game blouses, right?
Yeah, I love I love him going in. Axel Foley is constantly just a bullshit artist.
Yes.
So he's getting into these situations where he's getting one up on somebody or something in the funniest way. He comes up in there and in that hotel in that first one and was saying, well, I'm a reporter for so and so, and I'm doing a piece on Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me all the rooms are filled and you misplaced which of course he didn't have shit for, a room book, but he basically played the race card, and he's like, well, I'll give you we'll give you the nicest suite, but we'll give you a single rate room. How much is that? That's like $234 a night. Okay, if Michael calls, let him know I'm here. Just little shit like that.
Yeah,
I love his connection. His connection plays out though.
Yeah, but those were the 2 big songs I really remember from the first one, and of course you've got Harold Faltermeyer's Axel Foley is what it's called, that synth piece that's so iconic, and it plays through both. It's beefed up a little bit in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we were talking about the other day, you've got as soon as the logo disappears, you've got something that sounds just like John Carpenter.
Yeah.
There's a track called "The Duke Arrives" from Escape from New York, and it sounds almost to the T.
Almost to the T like that.
Yeah, I think I like this a little bit better, and it plays every time the villains are on the screen, just about.
Yeah,
and it
very
really,
John Carpenter-ish though.
Yeah, and I almost want to go music just because of that. It sounds like Carpenter, and it feels familiar, and I love it. But I think I'm going to have to go with Beverly Hills Cop, the original.
Really, you like The Heat Is On better, basically. Is that what it is, basically?
Just a little bit, and some of the other music was pretty good. I think it stood out to me just a little bit more.
Yeah. I think with the exception of that bad guy music, which was very Carpenter-esque, I kind of agree with you on that. I'm probably going to go Beverly Hills Cop 2. And I really, really like The Heat Is On a lot better than Shakedown, but I really like that added piece for the villains. And me and my John Carpenter love, so that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. We've only got mine and your picks for this.
Yeah, and we can't have tiebreakers, not with 2 of us, especially. Yeah. So let's move on. And I didn't even put our deal up. You gotta tell me these things. I'm bad at this.
There's our music right there.
There's the music. I made it. Okay, now let's go to acting.
On to acting.
And it's gone, just like that. Okay, let's go to acting. I'm gonna have to go with Beverly Hills Cop 2 on this one. With the exception of the lieutenant's daughter that I thought was a little bit everybody else played their parts very well in this. I think everybody stepped it up just a skosh. The bad guys were better. Bridget Nielsen obviously being in there was a nice addition.
Yeah.
Of course, there's really good players in Beverly Hills Cop. I actually like some of the cameos. You got Chris Rock in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh yeah, as
the usher and the Playboy Mansion valet, and then one of the hotel one of the hotel workers that gave him the bananas. The
Oh, the
first one, that was Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just kind of looks around like, here you go. You just take these bananas.
Yeah, he played it to a T. It was great.
He did. I'm gonna edge it to Beverly Hills Cop 2 though.
Yeah, this is one I'm really torn on. I like 2 a lot. I really like the performances in 1 too, especially when we get to villains. You get to Victor Maitland, played by Steven Berkoff, and his heavy. I wrote his name down. Jonathan Banks.
He's from he's like the fixer in Breaking Bad.
Okay, gotcha. I really like them and just the intensity that they give off in their performance.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one's a tough one for me.
I mean, I do like that in the first one, everybody's so uptight and by the book, and he's, doing his best to work around that, get the best of them, or even try to maybe even persuade them to back off of that a little bit so they can get some shit done.
Yeah.
But then in the second one here, you've constantly got Taggart who's like, we shouldn't be doing this. There goes my pension, just shit like that. And he's just like, oh, fuck it. And this does it anyway. Because Judge Reinhold is great in 2, by the way, because he's just like so gung-ho, almost psychotic.
Yeah.
The end when he puts the trench coat on, he's like, I've been wanting to wear this for a long time, and he grabs 2 shotguns. Yeah.
I love the little nod. We talked about it in our Cobra review. I think I'm going to go 2 now that you're bringing this up. But in our Cobra review, we talked about how Sylvester Stallone originally was writing a treatment for Beverly Hills Cop, and I love that he's got a poster of Cobra in his bedroom. I don't know. That wasn't lost on me when I saw that.
Yeah, right.
But no, you're right. In a way that the characters that were already established, there is a little bit more to them. I like there's more Paul Reiser. There's more Inspector Todd. I love his delivery in one of these scenes. I had to go back and get the exact quote. Eddie Murphy's talking about, well, I just thought, he's like, I don't want you to think, Axel, that makes my dick itch in the way.
Yes. Yeah. I'm saying this is the most outlandish pieces of it's little bits of dialogue too. That they say. It's just so funny. Because what it sounds like when they say this shit is it's blooper reel stuff.
Yeah.
But they left in.
Right.
Like like at the end when they saved the day and they finally blew up on the chief because he kept yelling all the time, and he finally got fired because of the abusive behavior and being wrong, and he's like, man, kiss my ass and all this stuff. He's like, man, you can become more like me all the time. He's like, next thing you know, y'all gonna be having frozen big dicks and everything. Yeah, big dicks. Just like that sounded so, the way he said it, and then the ha 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 laugh just made it seem like it was a blooper, and they kept it in.
Yeah. I think I probably will have to go 2 now that you talk about it.
Yeah, I'm saying I think it's just a little bit better. Like the dynamics is way better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna forget to change this time, I promise. Action comedy. We talked a little bit about action and the comedy already. This one is tough.
This is tough.
This is because they're both really, really good. I think the second one might have a little bit more because I think I laughed out loud a little bit more too because it was so outlandish. Yeah, especially with Judge Reinhold's character and some of those little quips that Eddie would make that like I said sounded like a blooper reel. But there was a lot of really good moments in the first one too, where he's fucking with the cops that he figures out they're tailing him really quick because they're terrible at it.
Yeah.
And then orders the room service for him and sends it out there, and then sneaks out, puts the bananas in the tailpipe so he'll stall out and he'll lose them.
Yeah.
That's really good stuff.
Shoot out at the strip club, and they're kind of caught there. And the whole super cop speech, which John Ashton, who plays Taggart, literally had to like hide his face because he's laughing on screen during the whole ridiculous spiel that he's given.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like with Axel Foley's stories that he tells people is just the craziest shit. And some of them are like, I don't buy that bullshit for a second. But some people, like you had Gilbert Gottfried in the second movie, where he goes
Sidney
in
Bernstein.
Sidney Bernstein, the accountant, and they're trying to figure out all this information about the bad guy and figure out what all the properties he owns, and he basically goes in there with a bunch of parking tickets that are unpaid. He's like, I'm going to arrest you, and he basically coaxes Sidney Bernstein into giving him a bribe, and then and creates this whole story.
You want my computer? Go ahead.
He gives the story to the chief of police in LA, tells him to call my boss. Call my boss back in Detroit. He'll tell you everything on this international, multi-jurisdictional, investigation. And so of course he has Paul Reiser pretend he calls the boss, gets a diversion, sneaks into his office to take the phone call from the LA chief so he can tell him, yeah, I don't ever see him, I hate him, and all this to basically confirm the story.
This isn't my office. What?
This ain't my office. But yeah, it's always right. him getting, the same way he got the hotel room. He does this in the second movie. He basically just steals this guy's mansion. Yeah, a whole fucking mansion while he's gone. They're gone for a few days. They're out there doing construction work on it. And he convinces that he's a inspector, and that things have got fucked up, and y'all need to go home for a week. I'll straighten it out. So that the construction workers get pissed off, they leave, and then he's got a whole week in this giant house by himself. He's out there on the pool. Of course, Taggart and Rosewood are pissed. Well, Taggart's pissed.
Yeah.
So you just stole a house, man. How can you steal a house? Come on, this is my uncle's house.
Yeah, the whole deal with the Gerald Ford stuff. Where he fell in the pool and he's got those old man clothes on, and they all think he's President Gerald Ford. That was great.
Yeah. He just goes he gets a standing ovation and a clap in the strip club because everybody thinks he's Gerald Ford, just trying to have a good time.
And once again, kind of like the first one with the vanity stuff, I love how when he goes to that gun club and he introduces himself, he's Richard James.
Yeah, Richard James. Yes, yeah.
With the whole Charlie Murphy. I love it that there's a connection there.
Yeah, for sure. And then action's probably more prominent in 2.
A little bit, though. It had a little bit bigger budget, so there was some. I like the whole cement truck chase that they have through the intersections, and that was really
what they did. They still didn't figure out who the cement truck driver was, did they? Being Rosewood, just thwarted the whole thing. But
right. 6 cop cars crashing into each other because of this thing.
How about Rosewood in the middle of a gunfight pulling out the bazooka, and he's like reading the instructions on the side and unfolding it, and he's like, and instead of he's aim this and hit this button. He hits the button and then just shoots off, destroys the truck anyway.
Yeah.
Taggart's like, fuck Rambo.
Yeah. That was really good. I like the action in the beginning. That first heist whenever Brigitte Nelson. Carla Fry, me and you laugh. We both know somebody by that name.
Yeah, spelled the exact same way. Yeah.
I liked everybody eat the floor. I like that scene and the heist that they have later on. Leading up to that scene.
In the the deposit place or whatever. Yeah, that was awesome. Blowing through the ceiling.
Yeah, the first movie had some action in it. Like that beginning chase all through the streets of Detroit. With that truck and Axel Foley hanging on the back of it. There's stuff that big fight at the end at the mansion was really good.
It was, yeah.
Well,
I kind of like I do like that a lot. I like also that guy reprised his role from the beginning of the first one, and he was in the beginning of the second one.
Yeah.
Wait, man, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, you're bringing a cop up in here. What are you doing?
Yeah. That was pretty good.
So, which way we leaning on this? You think?
I hate to keep going that way, but I think 2's probably a little bit bigger of a deal in both.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say 2, and that's like I really like 1 a lot.
Yeah,
but
you look at IMDb, and 1 is a 7.4, and 2 is a 6.5, and I just don't see that, and it's showing in our votes.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for 2 being right there with the first one, maybe even a little bit higher.
Yeah,
I might give if that's a 7, you said 7.1?
7.4 for
7.4. Oh, I almost give 2 a 7.7 or 8.
Yeah. I think they're really close. A lot closer than that, than what they're given credit for.
But you know me, I don't like to do the 0.4s and 3s too much.
Yeah.
I think I do that on my channel actually, now that I say that. But okay, so that's 3 to tie here. We only tied one. I think we're gonna have a winner, so I don't think it's gonna matter. At least that's good that we tied on the music. But let's talk about best villains anyway. And I think you made some good points about the villains in 1. I think honestly, I know that seemed like a bigger deal in 2, but other than Brigitte Nielsen,
who's amazing
in this movie,
that's a big bitch.
That's a big old bitch. It's Eddie Murphy's words, not mine. It's a big bitch. Damn.
Yeah,
he did that 2 or 3 times in the movie because he's like that's because they were in the Playboy Mansion. He's like, yeah, that's a girl from the gun range. He's like, yeah, that's a big old that's big bitch. I think I might have to lean 1.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Just because I think they were a little bit more menacing in 1, especially that right hand or the fixer, however you want to say it. The guy that actually killed his buddy.
Yeah, I believe his name was Zach in the movie.
Yeah, let me look and see real quick. It's not like I don't have Wikipedia right here.
That scene where
Jonathan Banks, right?
Yeah,
Zach.
The scene where Eddie Murphy comes in, where he's at the country club and he's acting all gay and sends Zach through the cake and everything. I thought that was a great scene.
Well, I think even funnier how we talk about the dialogue and how ridiculous this whole thing was when he broke into his office to confront him and ask him about Mikey the first time. Zach was sitting on the chair, and then what's his name?
Maitland,
Victor Maitland was sitting there. Stephen Burkoff, he was sitting in his chair, and he calls the goons in to throw Foley out. And the door's literally right there, and they carry him all the way to the door. Instead of opening the door and throwing him out, they literally throw him through the window.
And then he gets arrested on top.
But I'm like, why would you break your boss's window? Just throw him out the door. And the funny thing about the dialogue as he was getting arrested, he's like, they threw me out the fucking window. And he said that a bunch of times too.
Yeah.
Like why? Well, I can't believe I'm getting arrested for what's the charges? I got threw out the fucking window. I'm gonna have to lean towards Beverly Hills Cop 1, just because those two seem a little bit more menacing to me. Like they can get some shit done.
Yeah.
With the exception of Bridget, whatever you want to call her, that's about it.
Yeah. The big bad. What was Jurgen Personnel's name in that? I can't remember.
In 2.
Yeah. I did like him, but he's a really good actor, and I felt like he wasn't used quite enough.
No, he was kind of, because they had like a 2 different levels. They had because they had Carla Fry,
yeah,
and then they had her goons. Charles Kane was one of them, and they set him up and basically killed him to get away with their shit.
Yeah.
And what was his name? Damn it!
Was it Carlos or something?
Maybe. I don't know. I can't. There's so many damn names here.
It's a big cast.
The big ass cast. You mean afros and big dicks and everything. Oh shit. Anyway, it's not important, I guess. But anyway, I still
from Quantum Leap who we're talking about.
Yeah, the dude from Quantum Leap. Yeah. Didn't use him enough. But even though the cast is a little bit stronger in 2, the villains aren't quite, other than that big bitch is not quite as memorable as the other 2.
Well, she was hot back then, wasn't she? I mean, now she's old and everything. I think she just had a kid not too long ago, like in her 50s or 60s. But
what? Really?
But yeah, she was kind of an it girl there for a while. I think people forget about Brigitte Nielsen.
They do. Yeah, and how could you forget that big bitch? like 6 foot. That was another joke they made too. He's like, how many? He's like, how many 6 foot women do you know? He's like, it's L.A. Like they breed them out here. I know you're from Detroit, but damn. Anyway, I guess I mean that we've already kind of established our winner pretty early, but then that goes to Beverly Hills Cop 2. And I'm not.
I think you went 4-1, and I went 3-2. So
yeah, and I usually don't like to even be that one-sided, but I think that's just kind of how it worked out. These both are amazing movies.
It shows you how much we love Beverly Hills Cop 2, and I think if people think that on IMDb think that 1 is like a whole point higher, just how underrated is Beverly Hills Cop 2?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I'm interested since I haven't seen really 3 in so long as well. I'm kind of interested to go watch that as well. We might have to do that versus Axel Foley or something. But we'll definitely do an Axel Foley review, I think, after we watch it.
Yeah, we may just devote July just to new stuff because there's so much of it coming out.
Yeah, and we got I'd say for the next verses, we were talking about doing Top Gun versus Iron Eagle. Right? Do we want to do that for the next one out?
Yeah, speaking of Tony Scott and his movies.
Yeah, but let's do that maybe next.
Yeah.
And then we'll be Warehouse B will be doing Zardoz for episode 30.
Yeah. The gun is good and the penis is evil. Oh, wait till you see it, man.
I want you to know that I'm dreading it, but I'm gonna get through it. And we also got Why We Love Death Wish 3 we've got to do too.
Yeah. And that'll be a lot of fun, just like these.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Nope. Go watch these movies. They are so much fun. I hadn't until last year I hadn't seen them in like decades. Like
it's been a couple decades.
So I watched them like, man, those are good, and I put them on our list for verses to do. And I realized Axel Foley was coming out here in a few days, and I'm like, no, we got to do those now, because originally we were going to do Top Gun and Iron Eagle, and I'm like, no, we got to do this first.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, they are so good, and they're probably better than you even remembered them being in the first place.
I guarantee it. You're gonna have fun with them. You can find them on Paramount, or you can find them on Netflix right now. So go check them out. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Let us know in the comments below what you think of these movies, what you think would win. Give us a like and a subscribe. That way you don't miss anything in the future. We'll see you next time.
We're out of here.